about these seafaring towns. The superstition is their tall tales. I find it charming myself.
Now we finally know what really happened to Tom's wife. The bigger question is, why did he lie? This episode was crazy, especially towards the end. Y'all, we have to talk about this. This episode contains spoilers, so if you enjoyed these deep dives, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Also, I will be discussing the top 5 comments I chose for my last video, so stay tuned for that. Keep sharing your theories in the comments because I'll be doing another top 5 comments feature next week. After the disturbing death of Reverend Bryce at the end of last week's episode, Tom, Wick, and Patricia search his office for clues that could explain why a man of faith suddenly took his own life. What they found is unsettling. Partially burned documents scattered around the room and the words, "My eye is open," carved into Bryce's desk. That line suggests Bryce saw something or perhaps understood something before he died. Meanwhile, Tom begins an unwanted, disoriented, and increasingly terrifying emotional journey. Powered by mushrooms, the shaman immediately recognized what they are. He stated that the mushrooms is a brutal fucking ride. That stuff is going to take you where you gotta go, whether you want to go there or not. The mushrooms are known as true sight, a substance that only grows on the island. Their effects are compared to getting LASIK for your third eye, forcing open hidden understanding. When I started researching about black mushrooms and New England folklore, I found something interesting. Across regional myths, dark fungi have often been associated with death, spirits, and supernatural warnings. One fungus in particular resembles the great black human fingers clawing out of the earth. In old ghost stories and witchcraft tales, people believe these were the hands of lost souls trying to escape brutally beneath the forest floor. That symbolism feels important. Trace Brian's hand, and later, while under the influence, Tom unconsciously traces his own hand too. That callback cannot be accidental. Wick believes someone should take true sight to understand what happened to Bryce. Unfortunately, Tom mistakes Tom for Wick while apparently under the influence of one of the many substances stored in his very non-pottery barn setup. Tom ends up drinking the entire mug of true sight tea. From there, the episode, appropriately titled "What to Expect on Your Trip," mostly unfolds from Tom's perspective as he hears whispers, sees distorted faces, blackouts repeatedly, and wakes up in a strange situation with no memory of getting there. Tom wakes up holding a marker and discovers he apparently wrote, "When I turn around, everyone close your eyes. The room is empty." Wick later recovers a letter from Bryce's office and brings it to Jerry, who we learn may actually be his former high school girlfriend. After removing enough ash to reveal the contents, the letter reads, "I do not comprehend the nature of the curse that has fallen on the island. I do know that its heart beats inside the cylinder that my husband wears around his neck. Who will crush my throat? His hands, this plague? Death comes for each of us, but I fear it comes for me first. I know not how, but who. Of course, he's here with me. So I'll say all of this in jest, and with that, I retire." The message is eventually identified as a missing page from the diary of Sarah Westcott Warren, wife of Richard Warren, the first mayor of Widows Bay and supposedly the island's legendary protector. But the diary suggests something darker. Sarah implies the cursed heartbeats inside the cylinder worn around Richard Warren's neck. She also hints she fears her own husband may kill her. Then the entry abruptly ends with what sounds like, "Haha, just kidding," about implying my husband is a murderer. Oh well, guess I go to bed. Yeah, I'm not buying that. History often transforms powerful or terrible people into heroes over generations. Stories become myths and myths become beliefs, and eventually those beliefs define communities. The problem is history is often built on half-truths. It never fails when it comes to a horror movie or a horror series. Also, if Richard Warren looks familiar, that's because he plays Spy Hamish, who horror fans might recognize from Midnight Mass, where he portrayed another deeply unsettling religious figure. When I tell you I had to watch that episode 3 times and to look at that picture, and I said, That picture looks so familiar, and plus his name is on the credits as well. So I was right. I was like, that has to be him. And yes, he's also the bearded man gathering mushrooms in the opening scene. That feels important as well. We continue hearing stories about the boogeyman, a Michael Myers style killer allegedly buried in concrete beneath a creepy white house, which by the way looks suspicious, similar to Michael Myers' house from Halloween. PJ also mentions girls receiving strange hang-up calls from the boogeyman. That detail stood out to me again because we haven't seen the boogeyman yet, but Patricia had talked about it in last episode about the boogeyman almost getting her. So I'm hoping the next episode, 6 or episode 7, that we will finally see who the boogeyman really is. Near the end of the episode, Evan confronts Tom and asks the questions we've been asking. Why can't people leave the island? Tom avoids answering and instead experiences visions involving himself and his pregnant wife Lauren on a ferry. Suddenly, Lauren begins losing her eyesight. Later, Tom speaks with a doctor and admits something feels wrong. If these visions reflect reality, and I think they do, then Tom has been lying to Evan this entire time. Lauren did not simply die during childbirth. Something happened, and it may have been caused by trying to escape the island. Tom spent years denying the existence of the curse, yet somehow he moved on, became mayor, built another life, and buried the truth. So here's my question. Could the hag target Tom not because he's grieving or he's a widow, but because he lied? I was very shocked because I could not believe that Tom sat there and created a fabricated story about his wife. The truth eventually will come out. So here's my theories. The cylinder around Richard Warren's neck contains something connected to the curse. Sarah's diary says the heart of the curse beats inside the cylinder my husband wears. During his true sight experience, Tom stares directly at a painting of Richard Warren where the cylinder is visible. What's inside? Mushrooms or some ancient true sight in the island itself. We're getting close to seeing the boogeyman. Right before Sheriff stops Evan from entering the boogeyman house, Evan eventually opens the door slightly. I'm just saying, shows don't tease things like that for no reason. Are we finally about to meet the boogeyman? Alright, so here is my top 5 comments from episode 4. Starting with @ShamblePants1450. The Patricia episode had 2 things I adore in horror. Number 1, a witchy, culty, folk horror theme. And number 2, a desperate group of characters eventually coming together to figure out what's going on. Patricia being invited into the car after the distraught party in order to help out was amazing. Definitely not a filler episode. 10 out of 10. I agree. 100%. This brought together so many horror references and hidden meanings, and folk horror is one of my favorite genres too. Patricia getting invited into the car after that party was such a powerful moment because she finally realized her real friends was Tom, Wick, and Rosemary. I think Pat was almost a boogeyman victim. She's trapped at the age she was at the time. That's a really interesting theory, and it's interesting that you say this because I read an interview of Kate O'Flynn that plays Patricia that answers the questions about the boogeyman. The question was asked, what is her deal with the boogeyman? Does she know for sure that it was the boogeyman in her house? Does she just think that's who it was? She responded she did have the experience of the boogeyman, but she did lie about the calls. She realized that everyone else had the calls and she wanted to beef up a story, so she lied about it. That's when it all came undone, but it did happen. So okay, Patricia told a little fib, just a little bit or whatnot, but I still didn't like them bullies. And I still feel bad for Patricia. I wonder if Patricia was actually the boogeyman as revenge on the popular girls. I really like this theory too, and I hope that's the direction they're going. It also makes me wonder if one of Patricia's family members witnessed what she was going through when she was younger. We know almost nothing about her family, so there could be a lot of important backstory there. It would be interesting if someone in her family knew more about what happened to her than Patricia realized. This episode was good at highlighting real life everyday horror, being awkward at a high school reunion, the popular girls teasing you, throwing a party, and no one responding to your invitations. I felt sorry for Patricia, especially during the scene where she was crying in the kitchen. I definitely know that feeling all too well. Not only did that moment show Patricia vulnerability, but it also highlight how brave and confident she truly is. The last comment is, Rosemary said she didn't understand a word of her speech. I wonder if she was actually saying incantations but didn't know it. I was wondering the same thing. The fact that Rosemary said she didn't understand a word Patricia was saying makes me think Patricia may have been channeling something without even realizing. Not to mention, Rosemary wasn't the only one who noticed what was on Patricia's head. Chris noticed it too and even asked her friends, what the heck does she has on her head? Thank you so much for your comments. You guys have been amazing, and I truly appreciate every single one of you for liking, subscribing, and taking the time to watch these videos. Keep dropping your theories in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.